Now they're getting ready to pass it, and the lawmakers in the House are ready to move to vote on a stopgap spending bill and to prevent a government shutdown. But states have been actually talking about tax cutting sprees, and now a proposed Pennsylvania tax break could result in big tax cuts. If the tax breaks happen, this will not be good. It's fueled by surging revenues. States have been slashing taxes for individuals and businesses for the past 3 years. But tax cuts are expected to come to an end in some states in the fiscal year. Some 25 states have cut individual income tax rates since 2021. And the lawmakers in many states have been approving tax cuts aiming to help residents financially. New property and rent relief rebate checks are going to be sent out, and these payments are worth billions of dollars and will equal hundreds of dollars for many people. It's fueled by surging revenue. States have been slashing tax for individuals and businesses for the past 3 years. But tax cuts are expected to come to an end in some states in the fiscal year. Some 25 states have cut individual income tax rates since 2021. It includes 22 states that reduced their top marginal rates. In 2023 alone, at least 8 states approved rate reductions. And Arkansas is trimming its top individual income tax rate to 4.7% after reducing it from 5.5%. Aside from individual income tax cuts, states have proposed rebate checks for their residents. Last year, 17 states issued inflation relief payments as well. And now, if you're a Massachusetts resident, income tax refunds were available to you if you paid personal income taxes and filed your return by October 17. If you file your state return by October 17, you should be able to get your stimulus check back. Nearly $100 million in rebates will be sent out to residents across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Starting today, over 4 million older homeowners, renters, and people with disabilities will be issued rebates on rent and property taxes paid in 2022. According to a release, the rebates will be allocated to eligible Pennsylvanians who submitted an application through the property tax and rent rebate program. Applicants who submit their bank account information on the application forms will receive the rebate through direct deposit. And those who request a paper check to be mailed should expect to receive the payment in the mail too. But after the initial distribution of rebates in early July, rebates will be distributed as claims are received and processed. Recently, a Pennsylvania governor called for a major expansion for the relief program, which provided a lifeline for Pennsylvania renters and homeowners. Under his proposal, the maximum standard rebate would increase from $650 to $1,000, while the income limit for renters and homeowners would be made equal and both increased to $45,000. But these income limits would also be tied to the cost of living moving forward, which means people who receive a rebate won't have to worry about losing their eligibility through no fault of their own. Ultimately, the proposal would result in nearly 175,000 additional Pennsylvanians qualifying for a rent rebate. Hoping to attract new residents, the governor has also proposed new tax breaks, and according to recent data, Pennsylvania experienced a notable population decline between 2 years. Some people may consider Pennsylvania to be a high-tax state due to generally higher property taxes and high gas taxes as well. But the governor's announcement related to one of the state's proposals would actually be offering an annual $2,500 tax credits to new nurses, police officers, and teachers. It is including those who moved to Pennsylvania with a state-recognized credential. If passed, the tax break for teachers, police, and officers and nurses will provide a refundable. It is happening. The inflation rate is expected to rise once again, everybody. And now the Federal Reserve is planning to take big action to address this major issue. With millions of people worried about with Congress stepping in for a little extra relief, people don't know if they're going to receive stimulus payments in 2023. But in this video, I'll explain to you the most important stimulus check information that you have to know. Because remember folks, if President Biden does send out the fourth stimulus check in time, many people will get the relief that they so desperately need. and that would definitely be a great thing. So I hope that President Biden can keep his promise to the American people and send out stimulus payments by 2024. Do you think he will? Tell me in the comments. Well, high inflation and the state of the economy remain at the top of the list of America's top concern. A new poll showed that at least 60% of respondents said they have a great deal about concern and inflation in the economy. The percentage increased by 2 points for both categories from a poll taken last year. The Fed is already raising its key interest rate by 0.25 percentage points, underscoring the central bank's commitment to fighting inflation, even if that heightens the financial pressure on the country's banks. Now, folks, listen to this. As recently as 2 weeks ago, the Fed appeared set for a steeper rate hike and prepared to keep them elevated for longer, but a startling deposit run at Silicon Valley Bank and a closure of 2 smaller banks and a takeover of 2 other banks has created this panic in the financial system. Many economists, as well as the Fed, noted the bank's newfound caution following the turmoil would likely drag on the economy. The high cost of living is causing financial headaches for millions of people. That is why many states and cities have approved new relief. There is a $5 million fund from which Americans could get much needed $500 stimulus checks. Everybody, listen up. It's important now. This is happening in the state of Missouri, specifically in St. Louis, and the checks are directed at families with low income. The mayor, who was one of the most people affected by this crisis, said that the people in the city and state have already a plan to send cash to hundreds of families, if not thousands, who are going through a tough time. The bill was presented and is calling for the state to spend $5 million in funds that are coming from the federal crisis stimulus package. They are urging the federal government to agree on sending $500 monthly payments to local families for the next year and a half. This idea is for this program to begin as soon as possible, and its approval will go into 2024. Now, the program is not approved yet, but a green light would mean that eligible people will be with low income, who are either parents or guardians of children in public city schools, and it's a great chance for the city of St. Louis to offer support for working families and their children. The Nebraska governor has also made some school aid and tax cut plans to keep on rolling this week, as lawmakers give a strong thumbs up to a package of property tax changes worth more than $3 billion over the next 6 years. The bill introduced by the senator would increase Nebraska's 2 property tax credit program, cap school property tax growth, and eliminate almost all community college property tax. The package represents the second piece of Governor Pillen's plan to advance this bill. The first piece would cut the state's top income tax rate by 1/3 and make other income tax changes possible. The governor said the property tax package would provide substantial property tax relief for everyday Nebraskans. And last August in the state of Maine, a new law took effect aimed at giving relief to the homeowners who have watched inflation and demand drive up their property values and thus their taxes.
For a bad batch of water. The system then was paused, distributing more water into the system